The world holds its breath as the spaceship New Horizons streaks across the void, getting closer to Mars with each passing moment. On board, the crew keeps spirits high, live streaming their journey for all of us back on Earth. We get to see fascinating zero-G experiments with food, water, and everyday objects, a brilliant way to keep us all engaged. But when the cameras turn off, the real mission intensifies. Away from the public eye, their true objective is a mysterious ancient door discovered by a rover on the Martian surface. NASA has been relentlessly scanning it, trying to decipher its strange symbols and figure out how it's attached to the rock. So far, no luck. When one astronaut, Hank, questioned what they'd do if it was all for nothing, the commander's reply was resolute. We will still colonize Mars. The mission is bigger than just one door. It's about humanity's future among the stars. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates. Would you be upset about that? Hank paused, then said, "No, not at all. No matter what, it'll never be a wasted trip." The whole crew nodded in agreement. As the months rolled by, they kept studying this strange stone door. But the more they scanned it, the less it looked like a door. A quiet doubt began to creep in among the New Horizons crew. What if NASA was wrong? Behind the scenes, spirits were a bit low, but for the cameras, they were all smiles, doing zero-G flips and tricks. With only a month left, they broke out the heavy-duty gear, specialized scanners, and advanced readers. While setting up, someone forgot to turn off the live stream, and their conversation about a secret mission was broadcast to the world. NASA couldn't stop it in time. The public and global governments demanded answers, and finally, the U.S. was forced to reveal the true purpose of the New Horizons mission. It was the astronomical discovery that shook the world, but it wasn't a new planet or a distant galaxy. No, this was something NASA had tried to keep under wraps, but it was too late. The secret was out, and the global public demanded answers. What was the real mission of the New Horizons probe? The U.S. government tried to deflect, but the pressure was immense. Finally, the president scheduled a press conference. The White House press room was packed, with cameras crammed in and reporters spilling out onto the lawn. Questions swirled, passed from journalist to journalist, each one desperate to be the one to ask the question on everyone's mind. The world held its breath, waiting for the truth to be revealed. What did they find out there? And why did they try so hard to hide it? This is the story of the secret that changed everything. Good evening. Tonight, millions of you overheard a top-secret mission plan. I want to share with you one of the many reasons why we are heading to Mars. About 7 years ago, the Curiosity rover was scanning an old riverbed when it encountered a large stone the size of a door. What was remarkable was that this rock had perfectly squared off edges. As we all know, nature doesn't typically create such precise right angles. We drilled a small hole into this stone and took a sample for analysis. The results were astounding. The chemical makeup of this rock is not from Earth, nor is it from Mars. In fact, this material does not appear anywhere on our periodic table of elements. This discovery changes everything we thought we knew about our solar system and our place within it. We are on the verge of a new era of exploration. Imagine the scene. The President of the United States stands at the podium, a silence falling over the press room. He lets the weight of his next words hang in the air. The New Horizons crew, heroes of space exploration, exchange stunned, bewildered glances. They were never briefed on this. Reporters erupt, a wave of questions crashing against the silence, but the president simply raises a hand. "I'm not done," he says, his voice calm but firm. He waits for the room to settle, then poses a question that no one expected. "Show of hands," he asks. "How many of you believe in God, in angels and demons?" A few hands go up, hesitantly. Most don't. He shakes his head, a look of profound gravity on his face. "In the book of Revelation," he continues. It speaks of 4 fallen angels, bound in the great Euphrates River, waiting to be released. Well, we have evidence suggesting that prophecy was misinterpreted. These 4 beings aren't in the Euphrates. They're on Mars, buried in a dried-up riverbed. A wave of gasps rippled through the press room. Unfazed, the president continued, gesturing to a glowing hollow image that materialized in the air. This, he announced, his voice steady, is the area of interest in the Eridania Basin. The image zoomed in, focusing on a specific point in a dried-up riverbed. The collective intake of breath was audible as the image sharpened, revealing an enormous stone door-like structure embedded deep within the ancient Martian landscape. The president then switched the image. Now, the screen showed a close-up of strange weathered symbols carved into the door's surface. These markings have been eroded by centuries of Martian winds and dust storms, he explained. Our orbital scans can only tell us so much. To truly understand what this is, we have to get boots on the ground for detailed scans. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. The room exploded into chaos as every reporter began shouting questions at once. He answered a couple of questions at the press conference, and then just walked off. The reporters were shouting after him, but he just ignored them. One reporter even claimed it's some kind of game he plays with the media. What do you think is going on there? While that was unfolding, something incredible happened millions of miles away. The New Horizons spacecraft finally arrived at Mars. The crew is now carefully decelerating to enter a stable orbit around the red planet, a process that will take about 18 hours. They didn't waste any time, though. A drone was immediately sent down to scout the colony site. The good news? The habitat is fully constructed. Scans confirmed it has normal temperatures and a breathable, Earth-like atmosphere inside. All this data is being sent back to Mission Control right now, as the crew begins prepping their shuttle for the historic landing. The next chapter for humanity is about to begin. After 18 long hours, we finally achieved geosynchronous orbit around Mars. The crew is making their final preparations, loading the last few pieces of equipment and their personal belongings onto the shuttle. Can you imagine the mix of excitement and nerves they must be feeling? They're about to have one last dinner aboard the New Horizons before making their historic descent to the Martian surface. The moment is here. The shuttle has disembarked and is on its 20-minute journey to land on the red planet. The rover's camera is live, and we're all watching with bated breath. The shuttle has landed. The crew is gearing up, and the hatch is opening. Look! The rover is zooming in ... and there it is. The first human footprints on Mars. This is a monumental day for all of humanity. What an incredible sight. Thank you for sharing this historic moment with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates from our new Martian pioneers. History was made, not with a grand speech, but with the quiet determination of exhausted pioneers. The world held its breath, watching the live feed as the first human bootprint pressed into the alien soil. There were no poetic declarations, just a focused rush to get inside the safety of the habitation unit. They had been awake for nearly 20 hours, pushing the limits of human endurance. Once inside, they ran the final checks, ensuring the air was breathable, a tiny pocket of Earth light years from home. Finally, the helmets came off. The commander's voice, tired but steady, crackled through to Mission Control. We're here. We're all safe. As those words echoed across the globe, a wave of pure joy erupted. It was a cheer not just for a nation, but for all of us. Humanity had finally reached another world. On Earth, international tensions are rising. Other world leaders are frustrated, watching the United States once again lead the charge in space exploration, first the Moon, and now Mars. They're asking, when will we catch up? How can we stop them? But for now, they can only watch as another historic chapter unfolds. Meanwhile, Thousands of miles away on the red planet, the New Horizons crew is racing against the clock. A massive dust storm is brewing on the horizon, forcing them to quickly offload their personal gear from the shuttle. Mission Control has issued a clear directive: secure the rovers, move them closer to the habitation unit, and get them under cover immediately. These trusty rovers have served for years, enduring countless storms, but the Martian environment is relentless. The fine red dust has infiltrated their systems, causing joints to malfunction and wear to show. Before the real mission can even begin, the crew faces days of critical repairs. The journey has just started, and already Mars is testing their limits. Imagine being stuck inside, not for a day or two, but for over a week, waiting for a planet-wide dust storm to pass. That's exactly what our intrepid astronauts faced. They kept busy with their daily tasks, but you can bet they were itching to get outside. When the storm finally broke, it was all hands on deck. First things first, dig out the rovers. Buried under a mountain of red dust, it took them 2 full days just to get the vehicles repaired and running. But the real work was just beginning. Their next task? A giant crate marked "Some assembly required." Inside, they found a disassembled transport vehicle. Piece by piece, they put it together, until only the heart of the machine was missing, the fusion drive system. Using a rover with a crane, they carefully lowered the powerful core into place. With the fusion drive finally secured, the crew spent the rest of the day meticulously connecting every last power cable. It was a long, painstaking process, but by sunset, their new exploration vehicle was ready. They loaded it up with all their gear, scientific equipment, and plenty of spare oxygen for the journey ahead. After a quick meal and some much-needed personal time, they turned in, buzzing with anticipation for the morning. As dawn broke, they boarded the vehicle, a convoy of drones launching to follow their path. Their destination? An ancient riverbed several hours away. The journey was smooth, but nothing could have prepared them for what they saw upon arrival. The riverbed wasn't just a dry channel. It was a massive chasm, at least 20 feet deep. Staring into the abyss, one astronaut finally broke the stunned silence. If the riverbed is this deep, just how big is that door going to be? Good question. We'll soon find out. The astronauts disembarked, leaving a small team with the vehicle. The rest descended the hill into the dry riverbed. One pulled out a scanner, getting their bearings by triangulating the star positions overhead. The device whirred, projecting a holographic map that pointed the way forward. The team in the vehicle followed, with drones buzzing alongside. After several miles, they reached the coordinates and stopped, staring in awe. Before them stood a massive stone door. "It looks to be 15 feet tall," the commander stated. "If the door is 15 feet tall," Martinez asked, "how tall are the angels inside?" "That's a good question," the commander replied. "All right, team, let's get the equipment and rovers down here. Let's get to work." The crew sprang into action, forming a human chain to pass cases of gear down into the riverbed as the drones were carefully lowered. The real mission was about to begin. All right, with all the primary tasks wrapped up, the team got to work on their temporary home. They erected 2 smaller habitat units, connecting them with an airlock right on the riverbed, sealing it tight for the night. But rest wasn't on the agenda just yet. For the next couple of hours, they focused on the mysterious door. Scanners were fired up, while a few team members started digging around the entrance. They wanted to find a frame, to understand how deep this thing went. They dug as far as they could, only finding more stone blocks lining the door, disappearing deep into the riverbank. The initial scans, however, were staggering. Behind the door lay a long tunnel. They could only scan a few hundred feet in, but what they saw was a massive passage, 10 feet wide and 15 feet tall. As darkness fell, the commander called it a day. "Everyone to the HAB unit," he ordered. "We start fresh in the morning. The team was running on fumes and sheer adrenaline. Half the crew pored over the scans from the previous day, while the other half prepped the gear for another attempt. As dawn broke, they suited up and headed back to the mysterious door. This time, they noticed something new, a tiny, almost invisible seam running along the door's edge, outlining what looked like a frame. The big question was, does it swing or slide or something else entirely? They spent hours examining every inch of it, taking high-res images of the strange symbols and text carved into the surface. They even ran the images through an AI translator, but got nothing back. Just as frustration was setting in, Martinez pointed upwards. "Hey, see that hole at the top? What if we just hook the crane up to it and pull?" It was a bold idea, but it just might work. The commander pondered for a moment. Could it really be that simple? Martinez just shrugged. Why not? Not everything has to be some epic adventure straight out of a movie. She had to agree. All right, find something we can jam into that hole and hook the crane onto. The team scrambled, searching through their gear and stripping parts from the rovers. Finally, a technician held up a heavy-duty bolt. Perfect. They hammered the bolt securely into the mysterious opening on the door and attached the crane's hook. Slowly, carefully, the crane began to pull. The tension was immense. This door had clearly been sealed for eons. After what felt like an eternity, a groan echoed through the chamber as rock shifted against rock. A small cloud of ancient dust puffed out from the doorframe. They kept the pressure on, and inch by agonizing inch, the massive slab began to move, until finally the top edge cleared the frame. What lay beyond was now within reach. The commander took a deep breath. Martinez, see if the crane can handle this. Cautiously, Martinez began the test lift, inch by agonizing inch. As the ancient stone door rose, the crane groaned but held firm. After a few tense moments, Martinez gained confidence. He swung the massive slab clear, revealing the path ahead. A dark, forbidding corridor stretched into the unknown, curving out of sight. The air grew heavy with anticipation. "Get the Explorer rover," the commander ordered, his voice steady despite the unnerving darkness. Martinez nodded, quickly prepping the small, tracked vehicle. He ran a quick calibration, and the rover's AI blinked to life. The commander leaned in close to the monitor. "All right," he said, his gaze fixed on the screen. "Go. Traverse that corridor and show us what's waiting at the other end." The AI rover swiveled its camera head, staring down the dark, silent corridor, and then ... it just stopped. We all stood there, completely baffled. The rover refused to budge. Our commander, a woman of iron will, actually knelt before the machine, pleading with it. "Go," she urged. "Scan the corridor. Tell us what's at the end." The rover looked again, its lenses whirring, but the answer was a firm electronic no. Frustration was boiling over. Martinez grabbed the remote, trying to force it, but the AI simply overrode his commands. He threw the controller down in a fit of rage. As a last resort, Martinez offered a deal. "If I go with you, will you move?" The rover paused, its lights blinking as it processed. Then, a single green light. Agreement. But the commander stepped in, her voice firm. "No, Martinez. That's why it is here." What did the AI know that we didn't? Martinez looked at her. "Commander," he said, his voice determined, "this thing isn't going in without us. Let me go with it. We'll map the area, scan everything, and see what's at the end. What if the Fallen Four are there? I want to be the first human to discover them." A few chuckles rippled through the crew. The commander rolled her eyes, but finally agreed. Martinez clapped his gloved hands together, turning to the AI rover. "All right, little dude, let's go." They ventured into the dark corridor. Martinez's figure vanished almost instantly, leaving only the bobbing lights of his helmet and shoulder mount visible. As he rounded a corner, even those disappeared. The rest of the crew rushed back to the HAB unit, crowding around the monitors of their small base station, their eyes glued to the incoming feed. The image crackled with static as he went deeper. "Hold position, Martinez," the commander ordered. "Wait for the pattern enhancer." He agreed, and they waited. All right, with the pattern enhancer in place, comms are back online. Crystal clear now. "Commander, we're reading you 5 by 5. Orders are to proceed." "Copy that. Moving forward. Let's see what this place has in store for us." "Okay, pushing deeper now. It's really something else down here. Every step feels heavier. You never know what's waiting around the next corner." "Hey, Martinez, you're doing great. Just keep your focus. We're right here with you." "Thanks, Commander. Appreciate that." Continuing on. "Hey, little guy, what's the holdup? Come on, keep up. We've got a job to do." "That's better. All right, let's stick together. This corridor just keeps going and going. Who knows what secrets we're about to uncover?" At last, they found it a vast chamber hidden deep beneath the Martian surface. The commander immediately ordered the drones back to the surface. Their mission: scan and pinpoint Martinez's exact location. The rest of the crew sprang into action, maneuvering the rovers into position. Down below, Martinez stood in awe. In the center of the grand chamber was a waist-high ring, surrounded by 4 towering human-like statues carved from stone, all kneeling in reverence. "Where are the fallen 4? Damn it!" Martinez's voice echoed, raw with desperation. "Martinez, calm down." The commander's voice crackled through his comms. "Come back to the surface. You need to recharge your rebreather. And we need to study these images before we go back in." He agreed, turning to the rover. "Follow me," he commanded. But the rover didn't just follow. It shot past him, racing down the corridor and out of the cavern as if fleeing for its life. What did it know that they didn't? Finally back on the surface, Martinez stumbled into the portable HAB unit, the weight of his gear suddenly feeling immense. He shed it piece by piece as the crew erupted in cheers. "Welcome back, Martinez." The commander stepped forward, a rare smile on her face. "Good work out there." Martinez nodded his thanks. But his relief was short-lived. "Where are the others? Where are the fallen 4? He demanded, his voice tight. Silence fell. No one had an answer. The commander's expression hardened. "We're going back in," she declared. "Rovers, full lighting, all scanning equipment. First, we seal that cavern so we can work without this cumbersome gear. We'll need supplies from here. More oxygen canisters and CO2 scrubbers from the resupply ship and the oxygen generator. McCollum, Anders, you stay here. Keep the rovers scanning everything. The rest of you, let's move." As the rest of the team headed back to the HAB unit, McCollum and I stayed behind, our eyes fixed on the massive central ring in what we now called the Grand Hall. The surface wasn't smooth. It was covered in intricate writing, strange symbols unlike anything we'd ever seen. We recorded everything, feeding the footage into our AI translation program, hoping for a breakthrough. The result? Unknown language, potentially extinct. My heart pounded. As the team's language specialist, I had to get a closer look. McCollum, ever the adventurer, just grinned and said, "What are we waiting for?" We geared up and went in. While I knelt, tracing the alien script with my gloved finger, McCollum scanned the perimeter. Suddenly, he called out, "Anders, you need to see this." He'd found a small opening near the floor, just big enough for a person to crawl through. Where did it lead? We were about to find out. He tried to tell Anders what he'd found, but she was completely absorbed. The thrill of cracking this new alien language was all she could think about. Seeing her excitement, he didn't push it. He just turned back to the mysterious opening and started to crawl inside. He had no idea what he would find, but the pull of the unknown was too strong to resist. He ventured deeper and deeper down the dark corridor. Meanwhile, the same II rover that had been tailing Martinez now followed them into the Great Hall. The unit spotted McCollum disappearing into the passage. It quickly rolled over to Anders and started nudging her insistently. "What?" she yelled, annoyed by the interruption. The rover then scooted toward the passage. Thinking it was just malfunctioning, she tried to get back to her work, but the rover did it again. Frustrated, she finally got up and followed it. She peered into the dark opening, then shone her flashlight around, calling out for McCollum. "Get down here now." His voice, sharp and panicked, crackled through my radio. My heart leaped into my throat. "What is it?" "What's wrong?" I asked, my own voice trembling. "Nothing's wrong," he yelled back. "You just need to see this right now." Taking a deep breath, I started crawling down the narrow passage, the rover's lights following close behind. After what felt like an eternity, the tunnel opened up. I found myself in another grand hall, even larger than the last. My jaw dropped. In the center, 4 colossal stone humanoids lay in a circle, each clutching a massive sword against its chest. They were guarding something, an object suspended in the middle of their formation. A wave of excitement washed over us. This wasn't just a discovery. It was a new riddle in this ancient puzzle. "We need to scan everything," Anders said, already scrambling for his gear. "Send it all back to the hab." We immediately deployed the hollow scanners, watching as they floated up, their lights methodically painting the entire chamber in a tapestry of data. "All right, let's get this done." We're heading back to the new grand hall. Scanners first, set them up carefully. Then, it's back into the tunnel to wait. It feels like an eternity, doesn't it? Just sitting in the dark, wondering what those machines are seeing. Finally, the signal comes through. Scan complete. We retrieve them, scramble back to the surface, and make a beeline for the temporary hab unit. Time to see what we've got. The images download, and ... wow. Just wow. The new Grand Hall appears on the screen, and it's absolutely breathtaking. It reminds me of the old Knights Templar burial sites I've read about. Anders doesn't get the reference, but she's just as impressed. We look at each other, and the decision is unanimous. We need to call the commander. Now, launch the radio drone, get it high enough for a signal, and make the call. We're practically running back. The excitement is just too much. Her voice crackles through. "What is it?" "Oh, Commander, you have no idea. What's going on? I can't understand a word you're saying." The commander's voice crackled through the comms as McCollum and Anders both tried to speak at once. "Is everything all right out there?" McCollum, barely containing his excitement, blurted out, "It's more than all right, Commander." "Clarify," she ordered, her tone sharp. Anders took over, her voice steady but laced with awe. "Commander, we've discovered another great hall." The commander immediately told her to stop the rover. "Explain, now." McCollum detailed how they stumbled upon the massive chamber and its central ring. The commander's initial excitement was quickly replaced by frustration. "You went in without authorization?" "Technically," McCollum countered. "You never said we couldn't." A heavy sigh came over the comm. "Fine, you have a point. But don't go back in there without me." "Understood." They both agreed. "Upload all your sensor data to the hab unit. I want to see what you found." With that, the comm channel went silent. Anders immediately began suiting up again. "What are you doing?" McCollum asked, confused. "I'm going back in," she said, her focus absolute. "I need to finish deciphering those symbols." She paused and looked at him, a challenge in her eyes. "Are you coming? Or am I going alone?" Without a second thought, McCollum scrambled to. They headed back inside, stepping into the vast expanse of the Great Hall. While she immediately got to work, Meticulously studying the strange writing and symbols that adorned the walls, McCollum found himself drawn back into the newly discovered chamber. He just couldn't resist. His curiosity was pulling him in, urging him to explore every nook and cranny. He wandered aimlessly for a moment, simply taking in the sheer scale of the place, before his feet led him to the central stand. His eyes scanned the surface, and his fingers began tracing the intricate symbols carved into its side. He pressed one, then another, a sequence he didn't even realize he was forming. Suddenly, the air hummed. A low vibration filled the chamber, and with a flash of light, he'd activated it. The entire unit roared to life. What had he just done?